you have to make a decision that you want to go after these certain things. No matter what it is, it can be small, it can be big, it's just whatever. You have to make a decision in order to do it because you aren't technically going to have the belief if you don't make a decision. You aren't technically going to have consistency if you don't make a decision. And you can't really technically be a student if you don't make a decision to want to learn from everything.
Right.
So, so it basically sums everything up that I just said. So, without a decision or decision making, like you said, you have to be real with yourself and say, "Hey, okay, this really ain't gonna happen."
What's up, Growth Talk fam? This is Jamie and James again with another episode 20 to be exact. Super excited to be coming to you guys and just to add value to you guys. As always, if anything resonates with you, please, share it with someone that may be on your heart, or hit that like and share button. Because you never know who it may be speaking to. So, man, ready to get into this episode. We was discussing accepting your losses. So, bro, I'm gonna let you take that over because you came up with that
Yeah.
topic.
So, all right. So, the reason I want to pick that topic is because as we start this first episode of the new year, basically accepting your losses, you have to know that losses are going to come. And so, when you accept them and actually get in the realm of accepting them, you pretty much are going to work your nerve to getting numb to them in order to be successful at getting your goals done this year. You have to get numb to your losses. And if you don't get numb to your losses, you're going to always think you're going to be a failure. And if you become a failure, then you're obviously not going to complete your goals. So, in essence, getting numb to your failures and your losses are going to eventually get you closer to your wins.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you automatically have wins over and over and over, you don't know how to accept your loss.
Sure. I agree. Yeah, and two, loss, for me personally, I look at losses like lessons in my eyes. They're lessons, and it's not, and that's why I guess like what you're saying, James, is be numb to it, because it's inevitable that you're gonna have those failures in life. Like, you can't go through this journey without the losses or the lessons or the failures, and like you said, that's how you become successful. So you
Well, they're
just
comparable too. I mean, you
what
think
and
about
what
it,
you mean by that? Yeah.
they're comparable because you can't win without failure and you can't lose without a win. So they're comparable. They have to go together. And if they don't go together, how are you going to win and know what a loss is, and how you're going to lose without knowing what a win is? So they compare the two with each other. It's like a brother and a sister. So you have to have them together. And if you don't have them together, you're not really accomplishing anything because you're working on yourself more than anything. And if you don't have a loss with a win, then you can't really know the difference between how you feel, how you lost or learned, I should say. And then if you win, you won't know how you would lose in a situation.
That's
So
true.
it's basically your what's another way I can compare it to? Wins come with losses, and it's also coming like what's another topic I can say? Can't really think on top of my head, but that's the best way I can say it. You have to lose in order to win.
Yeah.
You can't win unless you lose. So you have to have both together. So you have to know how you react to both. And if the more you lose or learn, I should say, obviously, when I say lose, think of it as learning. So whoever's listening to this, think of it as you're learning. You're taking a lesson and you're learning from it. If you keep losing and you don't learn from it, you're always going to lose. That's just the harsh truth. But if you win, you also have to learn as well. So they're always going to be compatible to each other, because if you don't learn any lessons out of the win and the loss, then you aren't really accomplishing anything as a person. You can
Yeah.
win all you want, but what are you really accomplishing? Because the moment someone takes it away from you, how are you going to gain it back?
Mm-hmm.
So then, say for instance, it's just like all the book knowledge or all the podcasts you might listen to, all our podcasts you might listen to, or the books you read, or the YouTubes you listen to. Are you learning anything from it? Because say for instance, everything is gone in your life like that. Can you build it back? That's the question. Can you really build it back? And so that's the confidence you have to have, because there are times that might happen.
Mm-hmm.
You can lose everything just like that. Are you going to sulk on it, or are you going to gain it back?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I also believe like what you were just saying, it has so much to do with growth. That's why you got to have both. You get what I'm saying? Because like you said, to know how you react, because that also develops your self-control and your patience as well with this journey. It's having those wins and losses. They work basically like James was saying, simultaneously together in a way for you to get to the success that you're trying to see, right? Because both wins and losses, or like we're saying, learns or lessons, whatever you want to call it, so to speak, they're both helping with that growth and development process, and you gaining new skills. Because there's been a lot of things that I've learned through, you learn more through the lessons. You know what I mean? So
I'll give you something else to
not the
compare it to.
lessons, but the losses.
Yeah,
um
for sure.
yeah, and
And
lessons.
I'll give you something else to compare it to. You can't have faith without patience. You can't
Yeah.
have patience without faith. So that's one of the two that you can combine with, because they have to be compatible with each other. You can
Mm-hmm.
have faith, you can pray all you want, but if you don't have patience,
Your faith doesn't, your faith don't get developed without that patience.
exactly. So if you take
Like
off patience,
how would it? Because you got to believe for it without seeing it. And when you wait, that's how you grow that patience, grow that faith. You know what I'm saying? Of like trust, like still hoping for, you
mhm, you got to have the hope in it. So like she just said, it's like you got to have the patience. You can't knock off one and expect the other. So you got to
know.
have, you have two of the same. You can't have, just one and pray for, something to happen, but then you don't have the patience to make it happen. So it just doesn't work like that. And so that's why I said you can't win unless you lose, and you can't lose unless you win. So you have to know how to tap two combine with each other, because they inevitably go together.
Yeah, and there's no avoiding it. And I left the clip this recently. Like, there's no way that you're gonna avoid the lessons or anything on this journey. And sometimes people, and you may be someone that's listening, that when it gets hard, or when you have those losses, but you got to reframe the reason why we keep saying lessons as well, get you to think about that, is because you got to reframe your mind on how you look at it, so you can embrace it and numb yourself to it when it happens. It's not really, and I wouldn't say numb yourself, I would say more so like, so you can face it, so you can understand, so you can get to the place where, I guess, like where you're unbothered. I guess that's
Hmm.
what you mean by numb yourself, where you're unbothered by it or whatever. Because you have an understanding that it's part of the journey. But yeah, you gotta have those wins and those losses. You can't let it discourage you, because again, it's a part of it. It's
Hmm.
going to happen. And and so many people out there, they get discouraged when they get those losses, so to speak. But it's like what we're trying to get you to understand is there's no way around it. No way. No matter
Oh, sorry
what
to
it
cut
is
you off.
you,
My bad.
no matter, the last thing I was just saying, no matter what it is that you do, no matter what it is you do, there's no way around
Yeah, you just
around it.
can't. You can't. You have to face it. So I like how you said that. Instead of saying numb, you basically are, preparing yourself to face it. But I heard a
Yeah.
great saying too in a podcast that I was listening to. He said, well, basically, I'm gonna make it into my own words. Say you're trying to get to the top of something. Say whatever industry, whatever company, whatever, blah blah blah. You're trying to get to the top of something.
Mm-hmm.
Someone says you can't be done, or someone says, hey, isn't that someone, like, you're trying to build something, you have to build a team. You said it in the podcast about, okay, what podcast we're talking about, or what I'm trying to say. You said it in the podcast to where you have to build a team in order to be successful,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to build a team. It's whoever you're going to work with, you had to build a team. And so, with that being said, the guy I was listening to, he said, say for instance, someone says, isn't that where someone at the top always makes the money?
Mm-hmm.
He said, sure, correct, you're right. But show me one industry that everybody at the bottom makes the most money. When you show me that, then we can have a talk. But until then, who at the bottom of any industry makes the most money? So you're saying everybody at the top. So let me help you get to the top,
Mm-hmm.
if that's the case. So show me an industry that everybody at the bottom makes the most money. So when I got that out of that, I was thinking like, okay, that's like right on the head, because technically we're all trying to get to the top, because do we want to be broke? No, we don't.
Right.
So let's just keep it real. No one wants to be broke. So, I mean, just being honest, no one wants to be broke. So if you're always complaining about someone at the top making the most money, okay, let's get you at the top.
Right. Exactly.
So what's the point of wasting your energy trying to focus on whoever's making the most money? Okay, you get up there and make the most money with them. So it's all coming, it ties all back to when I come up with this topic, it's kind of like you have to accept your wins and you have to accept the losses, learn, because what you're saying in general as a person, you have to know where are you going in that trajectory. Because if you're saying something negative, obviously you're going to attract negative. If you're saying something positive, you're going to attract positive. So if all you're saying is like what I just said, if all you're saying is someone at the top makes the most money, okay, so are you calling yourself a bottom feeder? Because
And do you want to
obviously,
stay there? Do you want to stay
yeah,
there? Right.
exactly. So do you want to stay there, or do you want to go up to the people with the top?
Mm-hmm.
So you obviously, if anybody were to ask me that question, or you that question, or anybody else that question, would you rather make the most money, or whatever industry you're in? It don't even have to be money, but would you rather make the most, or would you rather make the less?
Right.
And everybody, 99%, 99999% of people will say they want to make more than they want to make less.
Exactly.
So it's always going to be the same. You can have a conversational, or not conversational, but controversial. I can't even say the word right now. Controversial, conflict with somebody about that subject, but at the same time, in their mind, in the back of their mind, all they want to do is argue with you. It's always just going to be just an argument. It's not going to be a solution that's going to help the person. It's going to be more of an argument than anything, because everybody has the same goal. Not everybody has the same goal. Let me say that differently. Not everybody has the same goal, but everybody wants to do something for their life, for the most part. For the most part, not everybody, but for the most part, people want to do something for their life. It don't even have to be big or outrageous. It can just be something for it. I want, just something for your family. It could be the smallest thing, but that's something you accomplish. But if you don't, if you have a negative mindset to it, nothing's going to really get accomplished. And so that goes back to what I just said earlier. It's like, do you want to do less, or do you want to do more?
Yeah. Yeah, man, this is good stuff. Today, like I was telling you earlier, Ernest had hit me up. Well, Ernest is someone for those that don't know, he's one of the leaders in our community. And one of the questions he asked me was, what are my 3 keys to become successful in life? And I shared it with him, my 3 keys, because, everybody, got maybe different keys that they look at to become successful. So I want to ask that same question to you. What are 3 keys?
I want to hear yours first, though.
You want to hear mine? Okay.
I want to hear yours first.
Okay. One of my keys is trusting God and being in communication with him. The second one is remaining a student, being intentional with your personal growth, spiritual, mental, emotional leadership, financial, having a coach or a mentor. So I put all that in that. And then the third one is your environment. And then the bonus, I gave a bonus and I said action. Knowledge is empowered. The application of knowledge is. So those are my 3 keys with the bonus. So what are your 3 keys, bro? What do you think? I mean, your personal 3 keys.
I would say number 1 has to be belief.
Belief.
I would say number 1 has to be belief, because, and I can explain it too, because a lot of people, even myself, can say certain things, but have doubt in the back of their mind. So saying belief and actually having belief is different. There's 2 different things. The next thing I would say is consistency. We all lack it. I'm not perfect. So that's just one thing that has to happen. It has to start small. And one thing one of my mentors said, Al, he said, being a goal oriented person, basically is what I say. Being a goal oriented person, you always want to accomplish a lot. But sometimes you have to start super small just to get consistent with it. And it's not like saying you don't want to accomplish it. You just have to you have to start somewhere to be consistent. So say for instance, when's the last time we posted a video on here? This is one thing we was talking about earlier. Like, how do we get, a schedule down? So for your people listening, say we wanted to, this is for, we haven't talked about this, but this is something like kind of using an analogy for it. Say we wanted to post 7 days a week. We haven't done it. Okay, drop it to 2 times a week and say we still haven't done it. Drop it to 1. Get consistent with 1. Then we do 1 consistently every single week. Then we can bump it up to 2. 2 is consistent every single week. Then we bump it up to 3. So at the gate, we say we want to do 7, but 7 never happens. But then we get to 1, do consistently 1, get in the habit of that, then do 2, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like that, and like that, comparison like that. So that's, I would say consistency would be number 2 for me. And then I would say, and I kind of like the one you said too, is always being a student. Because and that can kind of mean a lot of things. That can be working on your awareness. You can be a student to your awareness. You can be a student to books. You can be a student to the people, like you said, around you. You can be a student to just overall environment. You can be a student to a lot of things, because the more you observe stuff and, take into consideration of, just your mind and what's happening around you, then you kind of understand, like, okay, I want to do this, or do I like this, or do I not like this? Can I implement that, or can I not implement that? That's like, just, you're being a student to every single thing. So it can be a broad, topic to talk about, basically, because you can be a student to a lot of things. But I would say those 3 things are, I would say, my top.
Okay. You have any bonus that you want to share? If not, that's completely fine.
So I would say belief, consistency, and being a student. I would say bonus would be making a decision.
That is so powerful. Like, making a decision is so powerful, and I don't think a lot of people really understand that. And it took a minute for me to really see it myself, but man, decision making is so powerful. But go ahead, bro. I'll let you explain why it's
You good?
important.
Yeah, I would say making the decisions, or a decision, that's, like you said, very, very, very powerful, because it all the 3 things that I said for my, belief, consistency, and just being a student. I mean, those all tie into being like making a decision, because you have to make a decision that you want to go after these certain things. No matter what it is, it can be small, it can be big, it's just whatever. You have to make a decision in order to do it, because you aren't technically going to have the belief if you don't make a decision. You aren't technically going to have consistency if you don't make a decision. And you can't really technically be a student if you don't make a decision to want to learn from everything.
Right.
So, so it basically sums everything up that I just said. So without a decision or decision making, like you said, you have to be real with yourself and say, hey, okay, this really ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I agree. And then this is the thing, because what I think a lot of people, and this what I feel like people got to start doing. You got to make a decision ahead of time. Don't wait to see if something happens, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna see what, like you're saying, oh, I'm gonna see what happens, right? Like, say for example, with business, let's use that for example, with whatever business that you have. And some people, you got to understand that you got to make a decision when you first start that business, because in that business, that journey through that business, you're going to have so many ups and downs. And that's why what we were talking about earlier, why you have to embrace that, why you got to embrace the wins and the losses, is because you're going to have them. And when it gets tough, the reason why you want to make a decision ahead of time is so when it does get tough, you can push through. Because what I've seen a lot of people do is they don't make a decision. It gets tough, and it's easy to stop, quit, make an excuse and all of that because no decision was made. And I
Mhm.
think once I started learning the power of decisions, I started learning it through being a part of network marketing, being a part of just going to events in general.
Mhm.
I would we would when we were struggling, we had made a decision that no matter what, we're going to get to these events just simply for the fact we want to be around the environment because it's a growing environment. It energized us. It was good. It was around good people, growing people, etc. On top of wanting to learn for ourselves, right, and wanting to grow and be better. So we made a decision. Hey, no matter what happens, or no matter what situation we're in, we're going to be there. And every single time we got there, even when it looked ugly, we knew we were going to be there just because of the decision we made. We didn't care. We didn't allow our circumstances to define how we move. And I think that's what happens when you don't make that decision, is then your circumstances start defining and making decisions for you. And I feel like a lot of people, they and I don't want to say a lot, but some people out there, and maybe you're struggling with that now with decision. And I'm telling you, it's the best thing that you'll ever do, because that's where change comes. And you
Mhm.
gotta understand, when you get faced with hard times and challenging times, that grows you, like I said earlier, that grows you the most. That's where all the jewels are at, honestly. So and a lot, and most of the time you don't even know that what's happening because you're in it. And when you're in it, it just sucks. It's like, this
Yeah.
sucks. You get what I'm saying? Until you come on the other side of that and you look back and it's like, oh my gosh, I gained all of this. And honestly, if I didn't go through that, I probably wouldn't have had this. So, but I say all that to say, with this decision, man, decisions, you gotta make it for things that you want to change in your life. You gotta make them, because life is going to happen. You know what I mean? And then if you got kids, you know, James, and you can vouch for this,
Mhm.
your daughter inspires you. Your daughter alone gives you energy. Your daughter alone gives you motivation. You just want to, do so much to prepare them, where, man, you ain't gotta go through what we have to go through. And that's what you gotta understand. Our kids, the people gotta understand, is our kids are looking. And so when you get past this, when you get past hard times, when you learn how to make decisions and get past hard times, our kids are looking at that as well. And they're learning to do the same, instead of stopping, quitting, and that be the narrative. And we
Mhm.
pass that down.
Yeah, that's definitely, powerful, because at the same time, it's like you said, it's just someone's always watching.
Hmm.
And so even if it's not your kid, it's someone's always watching. You don't know it, but someone's always watching. And so the time you fall off or get inconsistent could be the time that could have encouraged somebody. But until when they saw you get off or get inconsistent with everything you've done, then that doesn't give anybody else motivation.
Right. And that goes to, just, you got to understand that it's bigger than you. That's another thing too. Like,
Hmm.
it's bigger than us. So it's our responsibility. Like, we can't, it's not saying that you can't have rest, or, times where you take a pause. Like, no, I think that's needed. I think that's a part of the process as well. And I don't define that as stopping. You get what I'm saying? I mean, like, when you're hanging that dream, that idea, that whatever it is up on the shelf, and you're hanging, but you're putting it on the shelf and pushing it back, and just like, you know, it's not for me, or, thinking that, again, going back to belief, like what you're saying again, and you don't believe that it's possible because you just hit a bump in the
Hmm.
road, and you didn't expect that to you didn't expect to hit bumps in the road, and so now you just stop or you give up. So yeah, man, it's way bigger than us, way bigger than us. But bro, thank you for sharing your keys, your 3 keys in that
Hmm.
bonus. Um, any feedback, anything you want to leave with the listeners before we hop off?
I would just say, keep going after whatever you're going after, because like I said, you always got to be prepared for whatever comes. And if you aren't prepared for whatever comes, do not stop, because at the end of the day, it's going to come whether you like it or not. And so as you keep striving, or you keep, going through the walls, going through the walls, and going through the walls, just know that eventually one of them's going to keep breaking, or one of them's going to break. And then,
Mhm.
it's kind of like that picture. I don't know if you ever seen that picture, but it's like the dude that digging through a mine,
Mhm.
and he
Yeah.
stopped right there at the diamonds,
Yeah.
thinking he just kept digging and digging and never would find it. Right there at the diamonds. So if you stop right there at the diamonds, speaking of your goals, then you would never know that you was right there about to hit your goals, but you wanted to stop.
Yeah. Man, love that, bro. Well, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode. It's 2023. We got so much content that we want to give you guys. Super excited about that. Like I said at the beginning, if there was anything that resonated with you, please hit that like and share button. Don't know who it may speak to and who you may help get it to, right? And also, if anything resonates with you that you just want to put in the comment section, so someone else maybe along the way that passes by, they can read that, and that may encourage them, throughout their day and week. So love you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we out this thing.
Peace.